Good morning. Welcome in this environment studies class. In this class, we will start our another chapter. The name of the chapter is Walls Tell Stories. This is a very interesting chapter, and in this chapter, we learn about important fort of India, that is Golconda Fort.
In our country India, there are many big and small forts, and every fort has its special story. So, first of all, we will know about what is fort. What is the meaning of fort? Fort is a strong building that is used for military defense by the king. It was very important for the kingdom's protection. Now, these places are tourist places. People visit there to know about past, about our history and how kings used to protect their kingdom and many more. So, now we will discuss about an important fort, that is Golconda Fort. In this chapter, a group of children visited Golconda Fort. In that group, there were 4 children. They were Selja, Sridhar, Kalyani and one Didi. Didi has a good knowledge about history and also researched many places. So, she has vast knowledge about history. Here they visited Golconda Fort, and whatever they will discuss now about Golconda Fort, that we will see in this chapter. Selja saying, "My goodness, this fort is so huge." Then Sridhar, "And see at what a height it is built." Kalyani pointing the gate, "Just look, have you ever seen such a huge gate?" Selja replied, "It must be very heavy. I wondered how many people would be needed to open and close this gate." Kalyani pointing something, "Look at these sharp iron spokes. I wondered why they were made." Selja, "Look at these thick walls too." Sridhar, "I have never seen such a thick walls." Again Kalyani, "At some places, a part of the wall comes out in a round shape. I wondered why." Then Didi said, "These are called basins or bhuj. See, these are even higher than the wall. The outer wall this fort has 87 basins, thick walls, a huge gate, and so many basins, so many ways to ensure security." After this, they went inside the fort, and there Selja saying, "I wondered how old this fort would be. Do you think the king built the fort so that he could live here?" Kalyani replied, "It was written outside that Qutub Shahi Sultans ruled here one after another from 1518 to 1687. Then Didi said, "Much before that, around 1200, this fort was made up of mud, and different rulers lived here." Then Selja, "Oh, look, this board has a map of the fort." Sridhar, Yes, this map shows so many gates, fields and factories. See, these are many palaces also inside the fort. Then Selja, oh, that means that not only the Sultan, but many other people like farmers and workers must also have been living here. Kalyani, it must have been a complete town. Then they went to the Sultan's palace. So let's see what happened there, what they are talking about. Sridhar, these steps seems to go on, means the steps was not ending, means they were just going one after another steps. Salja said, even in those days they used to have buildings with 2 floors. Kalyani said, now the buildings is in ruins, but one can imagine that earlier there were many big halls and rooms here. Sridhar, showing some carving on the wall, said, look at this beautiful carving on the walls. It is so fine. Then Kalyani said, you know, I also saw something like a fountain on the roof. Then Didi replied, yes, there were many big tanks and fountains here. They used to be full of water. So here we can see that how developed the engineering of that time was. Even today, when engineers design our houses, sometimes what happens? There is dampness in the wall. And here, means in that Golconda Fort, which was built 1,000 years ago, then also here there were no dampness on the wall. Even there were fountains on the terrace. The building must have been made of such a good understanding. If we think how the people lived 500 years ago, so many questions comes in our mind. For example, how they lift water to such a heights. Can you guess how? Here from here you can say that you can think that how developed the engineering was of that time. Then while they were talking all together, Sridhar called them to saw a big gun. They ran up the steps. Salja said, this must have been the Sultan's big gun. Didi said, this was used by Aurangzeb. His full army came with these guns and cannons to attack, but they could not even enter the fort. For 8 months, they camped outside the fort. Salja, why would the army come here all the way from Delhi? Didi replied, in those days, emperors and kings played such tricks. They tried to make small kingdoms a part of their own kingdom. This was done sometimes by friendship, sometimes by flattery, or even by marriage between families. And when nothing else worked, they also attacked them. Then Kalyani asked, why is it that Aurangzeb's army could not enter in the fort? He had so many soldiers and big guns. Salja, did not you see these strong walls? Have you not seen these strong walls? In the map, there is a long, deep ditch, means that is pit, along the wall. How could the army enter? Sridhar said, if the army tried to come from a different side, then the soldiers in the bastions would have seen it from a distance. No wonder it was difficult to attack the fort. Kalani said, just imagine the army is coming on horses and elephants with all their guns. Here the Sultan's army stands fully prepared. Okay, so Selja, oh no, how many people and soldiers on both the sides may have been killed in all these fightings? Why do people attack and have wars? Then Sridhar said, guns and cannons were used in the past time, in our past time. But now many countries have nuclear bombs, and they can destroy a country with a single bomb within very few minutes. That time there was no telephone in the past. So there in the fort, Didi asked them to wait at the king's palace, and she herself went to Fateh Darwaja. A while later, they heard Didi's voice. She was saying, alert, I am Sultan Abul Hasan. I am very fond of music and Kuchipudi dance. And there in that side, they all laughed. They were surprised how Didi's voice could be heard from so far. Didi later told them that if anyone stands at Fateh Darwaja, whatever you speak, you can heard at the Sultan's palace. Means, it can be heard at the Sultan's palace. If you speak from Fateh Darwaja, it can be audible at Sultan's palace. So here also you can see what an great engineering was there. How can one's voice will be audible from such a long distance? So this much for today. We will continue this chapter in our next class. In our country.